All right, so you're probably wondering, CJ, what in the world happened? What did the police officer say? Why was he there? How long were you there? What all happened? Well, in order for me to tell you all, this is going to be a short video. I'm not even going to sit here and try to drag this out. I'm just going to throw up the synopsis of what exactly happened. But it's important that you know what happened, which basically what happened, what I found, and then what information I found out afterwards. So we roll up there, we see 2 suitcases. Suspicious to begin with, because if it were like a tackle box or some fishing poles, that's normal for that area. Suitcases are really not something you're gonna find anywhere and everywhere, right? So then we find the suitcases, and then the couple in the Kia Soul tells us that there was a Navy plane that was unfortunately crashed in the water. And then we look up information that confirms their story, and I literally thought they were BSing me. I truly did. I'm like, there's no way that a Navy plane crashed out here. Like, they would have this thing roped off still. That wasn't the case. I guess it was a pretty cut and dry investigation. It's still under investigation, but to give you all a little bit of synopsis about it, a Navy aircraft with 3 people on board crashed into the waters of Eastern Shore, Virginia on the boundary of Virginia and Maryland Wednesday evening, killing 1, authorities said. So this is basically like a routine mission that this plane was going on. It unfortunately crashed into the water, killing 1, and thoughts and prayers are going out to that person, his family, and their friends. I can't imagine what those final moments for him and the moments for the other 2 were even remotely like. I'm sick to my stomach even thinking about that, because my big fear is water at nighttime. Even though I love the water, I love being on the water, I love everything about it, but just something about water is scary. I mean, we all have to kind of admit, it doesn't matter if you're, the greatest swimmer in the world, water is scary. And one of the things that just really kind of gut-wrenched me was we found 2 suitcases. The couple then, let's back up. We found the 2 suitcases. I said, there's barnacles on these suitcases. There's no way that barnacles formed in a couple of days. It's not plausible to me. It's just not. Now, barnacles can create on a surface, but it's usually in the length of like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you start to see that mold and that growth on it. If it's a boat, it's about 6 months, 3 months, 3 to 6 months, depending on how well you clean it, and a lot of other factors. But let's just say those suitcases, let's just say they've been in the water. I think they've been in the water a very long time. I don't necessarily know how long, but this is my personal opinion, but we're gonna get into that. So we find those suitcases, right? And then the couple in the Kia Soul plant in my head at that point, oh yeah, I bet you that's off of the airplane. And I look up the story, I get home, and I'm looking at more and more of the story. I'm like, something's not right. I can't continue on with this. That very next day, I was not able to go down there and check if the suitcases were there. But in my head, I'm like, I'm going back, and if the suitcases are there, I'm gonna see if if I could open up the address tag a little bit further, find the address, maybe go by their house and say, hey, listen, did you mean to throw these suitcases in there, or was this an accident? Were they stolen? Did you give these away? What was the case? I don't know what was going through my head at that point, but as soon as I pulled up to their house, there it was. It was 9/11 at night, which is 911. And if you're from the US, that's our emergency number to call the police, fire department, ambulance, all that good stuff. That's what really did me in. I'm like, I meant to call this in, and I meant to just get this out of my head. And that's exactly what I did. So I have to do a couple of things before I talk about the police officer showing up. But prior to his arrival, all of these thoughts are going through my head. But I got to share a couple of good theories that a lot of you had. So I wrote some of these down, and I already told you what I know about the crash, right? But what I didn't tell you is what I thought about the suitcases. I jumped around on different theories, but it never really hit me until tonight when I'm reading these comments. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you all have some really good theories, and that's why I ask you those. So let's think about this. We have 2 suitcases, a small one and a large one. They're placed both on land, okay? And they were in the water at some point. Now, if you know anything about tides and currents and all of that, you understand that I can literally place two objects in the water, and I would almost guarantee you over the course of time, those two objects are not going to stay with each other the entire time. So it's a simple narrative like this. You know, if you've got a boat going straight across the ocean over to the UK, and you're heading, the direction that the boat is heading is off by 1 degree, that's miles apart over a couple of hours. So the same thing, those two suitcases, I personally don't believe were, you know, set 10 miles down shore and they magically just came together and stopped right there. Somebody found them and brought them out of the water. That square section right there, I think that these suitcases were in there for a very, very long time. And the reason I say that is because the likelihood of both of them being together, I'm just not seeing it. I'm truly not. I think somebody tossed them off in there. What reason? We're gonna get to that. So the likelihood of them moving together, I just don't see. I didn't have a feeling that it was related to the Navy plane that went down. Number one, it's a routine mission. I don't foresee them having luggage, but I'm not in the military. I don't know enough about that. They very well could be. But what I am saying is, I did not think it was plausible that that came from that aircraft, because again, the amount of silt that was inside the bag and mud, that's number one. Number two was it didn't really look like military bags. It was kind of a cheaper suitcase, if I can say that. You know, and somebody in the comment section is probably going to tell me, Chris, oh no, CJ, those are, you know, $400 piece bags or something. Well, it could have fooled me and I wouldn't have bought them, but that's here nor there. The number one thing that a lot of you were asking, and I was too, why did they ditch the luggage? So I could sit here for hours and give you 1,000 theories that I've read in the comments section. And if you look at this video, I've done a really nice job actually hearting and commenting back to some of the really good ones. I'm like, man, that could be it. And another question I had by another user there on the comment section was, why did they, if they were ditching that luggage, and this brings up another point, why did they leave the tag? Why were you gonna leave your tag with your address, right, Chris? Let me ask you that. Let's say you're gonna go do some shady stuff. Are you gonna leave the tag on there?
I'm gonna put someone else's address on that.
Good idea. Unless you're the world's dumbest criminal, right? True. And there's a TV show about them, World's Dumbest Criminals. So I'm not saying that it was overlooked, but I'm saying, like, if I'm gonna do something shady, I'm gonna make sure all the bases are covered. That's what anybody would do. That's common sense. It's not a theory, that's like literal common sense. So another thing that I really wanted to say is that you can never underestimate things, situations, and people. Never underestimate them. That's why I told Chris, as soon as that car pulled up and he stopped in front of us and turned his headlights off, I'm like, film all of this. Film until he moves and until the police get here. And I was borderline gonna call the dispatcher back and be like, hey, listen, there's a suspicious car that pulled right in front of our headlights, turned his lights off, and now he's just sitting there staring at us. But I didn't. I just kind of let it play out. But again, you know, everything in life I say, question everything. But I think we need to question everything, but use our common sense in knowing, hey, listen, you know, this could have been a part of that naval plane crash, but it wasn't. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is because the officer that got dispatched to us, the guy was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible, super understanding, and he was inquisitive a lot to me. You know, how did you find this? Where did you find this? And I was like, we haven't touched it, it was here. Told him what we were doing. He said, why are you all out here out this late at night? I told him, hey, listen, you know, it was bugging me. We found this 2 nights ago. I wanted to come back, and if it was here, I was calling the police. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you did the absolute right thing. He says, if you see something, say something. Because this could have gone overlooked. This could have been a part of something way bigger. So this needs to be a learning lesson for everybody. If you see something, say something. You know, there's too many people that turn a blind eye these days, or they don't want to get involved. That's bullshit, in my opinion. You need to get involved because things can be solved. People can be found. answers can be found. And that's what I really wanted to get at with this, is like, there was more of a motivation to myself to get this out of my head and say, hey, listen, I'm going back there. I'm going to drive an hour and a half down the Eastern Shore to go see if 2 suitcases were still there. I'm not really sure how many people would have done that besides me. Maybe I'm just stupid, but you know, the officer, you know, he confirmed that unfortunately they do have a problem with people dumping stuff in the water, and it's not just at that particular area, it's all up and down the shore. So that kind of brings me back to my next point. In the video, you probably heard me talk about cleaning up the waterways and what I used to do as far as, you know, go free diving down the water and clean up trash, and you'd find some cool stuff. I found keys, I found a couple cell phones at one point, more than likely burner phones that get tossed off of the bridge, but you know, I'm getting back into that. It's not going to be what this channel is completely about, but it's just going to be a little bit of an added spice to what we already do, which is ghost hunting and randonautica and all that. So this is more an adventure channel. This has always been an adventure. I mean, I filmed, you know, going to the, you know, International Car Forest as far as that goes, and all the way to the Bel Air house trying to, you know, get possessed. So it's more about an adventure in my life, and I want to show you all more about what I do outside of this. But I just wanted to wrap this up, and the synopsis of it is basically saying it was confirmed that he thinks it was trash. Was there something in there previously? Maybe, but there was nothing pointing towards that. So there needs to be zero hate towards the police officer, zero hate towards me. I did my job by calling it in. He did his job by responding and going from there. And I understand a lot of you are going to be like, well, CJ, it could have been involved in this. It could have been, but there wasn't evidence leading to that. So after I left, whatever was done was done. And it is what it is. And it's on to the next thing. One of the possibilities, probably one of the more, I guess, weirder possibilities, because this is apparently not as uncommon as what we think. He thinks that, so what we think is actually it was a ex-girlfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife or something put this person's personal belongings in this suitcases and dumped them out in there. People are petty, it's just the way things go, but at the end of the day, there was nothing malicious about the suitcases. There was nothing that could have really more or less been done. So I know that you all were looking for answers, and that's why I wanted to round this up in a separate video. I really separated these 2 videos for the main portion and part of not making this an hour-and-a-half long video for y'all to watch, and also giving myself another a little bit more time to read through your all's comments and maybe add some of your all's theories in here, maybe get some questions. So it really worked out this way, and hopefully it did in your favor. But I want to say I love y'all so much. Cannot thank you enough for supporting this channel. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers. Once we hit that 500,000 mark, we're shooting for the million. And you know, I always say when odds are 1 in a million, be that one. And that's what I want to do with this channel, is take you all on adventures. So until the next adventure, love y'all so much, and I'll see y'all next time.